As a real estate investor, there's nothing I like more than counting my chickens, figuring out what the results of my actions today will be in 30 years. And that's why I built this app. You guys can have it for free. Call it the Wealth Calculator. Actually, I call it the Solo House Flipper Wealth Calculator because Wealth Calculator was taken, obvious. Here's how it works. Very simple. You put in the home value. I have these default settings already in there. Home value, $300,000. I'm thinking about this as I go buy a house. I'm buying this house that I know the after repair value is going to be $300,000. Loan to value, 80%. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Wealth at maturation would be $728,000. Okay, that means that if I bought that house today, refinanced it, held on to it for the next 30 years, 30 years happens to be the timeline of most mortgages that you're going to get. That would mean that that mortgage was paid down to zero and my home's value had gone up to $728,000. Therefore, my net worth, my wealth from that one property was $728,000. And as much as I like counting chickens, I like to think things like, well, what if I buy 8 houses at $320,000 this year? So 8 houses, $300,000. That'd be $2.4 million of home value. Obviously, I'm going to get them at 80%. I'm going to explain how we're going to do that. That would mean that in 30 years, I'd be worth $5.8 million just from those houses. That is lovely. And also, that's the power of real estate. That's why I had to build this app. But guys, what is that based upon? Obviously, the amortization, the loan of 30 years could make it 20 years if you wanted to. Okay. And I hear some of you out there trying to make it complex that, well, you know, there's different types of loans out there. That's fine, but those are not the types that I teach. What I teach people to do is get the longest fixed term loan they possibly can, which it's really easy right now to find 30-year loans at pretty decent in comparison. Pretty decent is relative, but anyway, let's say 7%. You can obviously change this number. Hopefully that number keeps going down. It used to be like right there, which was awesome. This is also a great learning for you to see that on a mortgage, you pay most of your interest up front. So you see right here, you can see how the curve starts to change, especially if we increase the interest rate. You see how the curve starts to change. It doesn't go down in a straight line. It starts to curve like this because you pay more interest up front. And as you get to the back half of the loan, you start to pay more of the actual value. You start to pay more of the principal down. So you start to create more net worth for yourself. You see how the net worth starts to go up. And finally, there's the appreciation. So over the last 30 years, homes have appreciated on average of 4.2% per year. 4.27, I think it is. 4.27% over. Okay, so that would mean that actually if that continued, it'd be worth 8.4 million, but I am a conservative guy, and so I like to think more about 3% because that is a safer number. Let's say I bought 10 of those houses, by the way. That sounds better, right? Look at that. Oh, geez, at 4.27 million. See how fun this is, guys? All right, you can see how your net worth grows over time. Also, one more button here, you can show the annual schedule where you would be at any point in those 30 years. And, you know, you can also put this into your spreadsheets or whatever you have so you can count your chickens more effectively. Now, I said that I was going to tell you about this 80% thing because I want you guys to understand how flipping houses leads to renting houses over time. All right, yes, I'm the solo house flipper. We do all of this with no payroll, no bosses, no bull crap, but it's not just about flipping houses. Flipping houses gets you in the door. Ultimately, the goal is to own properties where you over time generate wealth, as you see here with the wealth calculator. Okay, so how is flipping a house the same thing as owning a house as a rental? Well, it's because, well, you know that when you go to flip a house, obviously the cost that you have in the house, acquisition price plus the rehab plus your other cost is going to be less than the value of the house. That's the whole idea, is that you go to sell the house and you get to keep the profit, the 30, 40, 50 grand that you get from that flip. Well, that amount of money is the equity that you have in that property. You spent $200,000, sold it for $300,000. That $100,000 gap is equity in the house. By selling it, by flipping it, you actually get to put that money in your pocket. Got to pay a lot of taxes on it and all that crap. But instead of selling that house, what you could do instead is you could go to a bank and say, hey, I have $200,000 of costs in this house, either that I funded with cash or went out and got a hard money loan for, or a loan from a commercial bank for this $200,000. You go to this other bank and say, hey, I have the $200,000 on the house right now, but I put a tenant in it and it is a stable property, and I would like a long-term fixed rate mortgage to take out that $200,000 loan, to replace that $200,000 loan. And that's how a flip is the same thing as a renter. And you take that a step further, that actually a bank will give you 80% of the appraised value. So that $300,000, they would give you 80% of $300,000 is $240,000. If you actually only had $200,000 in that deal, they would give you the extra $40,000 in a cash out refinance that you got to put in your pocket. Yeah, pretty sweet. So guys, enjoy counting your chickens, figuring out how much you're going to be worth in 30 years. I mean, that's why you do this. You want to make sure that you follow a route that is the sure thing. And there couldn't be anything more sure than real estate. It's been working for thousands of years. It's going to work for you. It worked for me. So figure out what you're going to be worth if you put your focus and effort into this. And also make sure you get good deals on the front end. And I actually built a flipping calculator to show you what you should purchase a house for. Made a whole video about that. That app is also free. Go check it out. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.